Hi, I hope you've been doing well. Today we are going to do a good old-fashioned reading vlog. Maybe it's not really a vlog, but I'll be reading a book. And we're going to be reading They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which was very popular on TikTok a few years ago in the early TikTok days. I think. Maybe. There's no way of knowing. It's only 9 hours on audiobook. I'm going to start it today, see how much I can get finished. Maybe if I'm interested, I can finish it today. Time will tell, but I really don't think it's going to take that long. Yeah, if I like it enough, maybe I will read the other books in the series, because I know it is a series. But best way to start is just to start. So, welcome to the video, and I'll be back when I have something to talk about. Alright, hi. Thankfully, the book is split up into different parts, and I just finished part 1, so I'm going to talk about it. It's been a while since I've done a reading vlog, but I wanted some kind of order, because in the past I haven't had order, and I think some order would be best. So I have good things about the book, or things I'm enjoying about the book, bad things, things I'm not enjoying, and then just random things that I want to mention, questions, comments. So we'll start with the good. I just really like the concept of the death cast. If you don't know, this video will be spoilers, but if you don't know, this follows 2 teens that are told at the beginning of the book that they're going to die in the next 24 hours, which is a very scary thing. In the universe of this book, there's this app or this company called Deathcast, which lets people know when they will be dying in 24 hours time. It's really interesting, and I really appreciate how this concept has kind of permeated the culture. They mentioned, like, if you show the email from the Deathcast people, then you get like discounts at restaurants. There's like an app called like Last Friends, which is where the main characters meet, Mateo and Rufus. For people that are having like their last day, there's like a forum online to talk about your last day. It's really interesting, really interesting. Even in like media, like in TV shows, they reference it. It's just really cool. I don't know if I'd like Deathcast to be something in my real current life, like what I want to know if I'm dying in 24 hours. I don't know, but it's pretty interesting. A pretty interesting concept in general. I'm also excited because a audiobook reader that I'm familiar with named Bonnie Turpin is apparently reading some part of this book. Her voice hasn't come yet, but I'm awaiting it. Her name is Bonnie Turpin. She read one of my favorite books called Children of Blood and Bone. She also read, I think, The Hate You Give. I've definitely read another book by her. I'll write it on the screen. Also, something I enjoy is the title itself. They both die at the end. You enter knowing the ending, which is very interesting. You don't know how they get there, though, which is also even the more interesting part. I do appreciate stories where we know something that's going to happen, but we don't know how we get there. So, yeah. I will say it is accessible. I'm able to read it quickly and not pay 100%. Like, it's not, I don't have to think when reading it. I just like short chapters, not complicated prose. However, going into the bad things, it's juvenile. It's kind of, I'm complaining and complimenting the same thing. Just compared to the books that I've been reading lately, the writing, the complexity is lacking, because this is like a middle grade book. I'd say it's very not complicated. Tough themes for sure, but just the way that the writing is, it's not really deep. Or like I don't have to think about it, which I sometimes like doing in the books that I read. They've had tough lives. The first person that we meet, Mateo, his mom died giving birth to him. His dad is in the ICU, I believe. The other main character, Rufus, what kind of name is Rufus? That's a dog's name. Anyways, his younger sister, mother and father, died in a car crash. Again, very horrible, and he's like in the foster system. The way that that information was presented was very direct. I guess it's more my problem. Also the language, especially when it comes to Rufus. I thought he was black, but apparently he's Cuban American, but he uses, I guess that is my own stereotypes, but he uses the word mad a lot. I've heard For Real, I've heard Homeboy. It's just it's a little dated language, as in I wouldn't hear people saying these things in this day and age. I think that's what dated means. I know that's what dated means. Okay, and then general thoughts. How do they feel about the dying? I feel like we just have some distance. They found out that they're dying and they're like, they keep remembering it, I guess. Like, oh, they'll never do this thing. But I want to hear more about how they feel about it. The psychological impact, you know? Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering how they're going to die. In Mateo's chapter, randomly mentioned that he was allergic to dogs. That could be something. They could die together. They could die separately. I'm pretty interested. I'm also wondering if the way that they die is determined at the time of the call. I guess Deathcast doesn't know the exact time that they'll die, so they probably don't know the circumstances, but still, like, can they control what kills them? I guess, because at least at the beginning of the book, um, Mateo's strategy was just staying in his room or staying in his house and, like, so nothing, like, comes at him, like, attacks him or whatever. But he could also, I don't know, die from starvation that way. So I'm wondering what determines what makes them die. Like, sure, 24 hours, but like, does anyone know what makes them die at the time of the call? It's just a theoretical question. I'm not going to get the answer to, I'm sure. I'd love to read a book about the impact of working for Deathcast, having to tell people every day that they're going to die. That's interesting too. Yeah, my psychologist is showing. But that's it. It ended with, what's his face, Rufus coming to get Mateo from his apartment or house. I don't even know. I think it's an apartment. And yeah, they're gonna get together. They're gonna get together. I know that. I do know that. I mean, it's Adam Silvera. I haven't read any of his books, but I know, I know that I know that they get together. Somehow I do. I don't think have I heard a review of this book? Like, I'm so positive. Oh, I know why. Because one of the tags is LGBTQ+. Yeah, yeah. But did they have to? Yes, is the answer. Okay, I'm not going to continue right now. My eyes hurt, but I will eventually. And then I'll talk about it. Next time you'll see me, I'll have finished part 2, hopefully, unless something very, very big happens. So yeah, see you then. Okay, I finished it. I don't have that many notes. At the beginning of part 2, which is where I stopped the last video, Bonnie Turpin is introduced, as in the audiobook reader. Bonnie Turpin, who I've read a few books from before. And she plays the role of so many different people. Basically, if the person isn't Mateo or Rufus, she's saying she's reading their perspective. It was a lot, considering we have one voice for Rufus, one voice for Mateo, and then just the ratio isn't there. The ratio isn't there. At least it's not an even ratio. Specifically, the way she pronounced Lydia, who was Mateo's friend, that's interesting. I remember that. What else? It was a little hard to distinguish, not in Bonnie's point of view, but just generally, like, the difference between dialogue and narration, like when someone was saying something or they're just thinking it. Because I listened to this fully on audiobook, which I don't have that much experience with. So the learning gap is a little there, but not too much. There's a conversation in this book about, I guess, your obligation to other people when it comes to telling them if you're dying. Should you tell people? If you knew you were dying, would you tell people? It's a very interesting question. I mean, I know I'm dying. I know I'm dying. For like, if I knew exactly the day, what I say, by the way. Especially if it's the day of. Like, I understand. That's one. I think Deathcast should work on this if it were a real thing. They should give them like a week's notice or something. One day is a little too little. Although, with a week, you may become like extremely paranoid. I don't know if that would be as in sometime in the next week you'll die or like a week from now you'll die. I knew they were gonna get together, but they love each other? No way. No way. In a day? Maybe, but no way. Yeah, no way. There is a quote, a singular quote that I wrote down. I'm at the finish line, but I never ran the race. And that's my worst nightmare. When this race is over, I wanna feel like I've run it. This book is just another reminder to live each day like it's your last. Although I've heard an author and a person that I know named Suleika, she says that's not a good mindset. She prefers live each day like it's your first, which is probably better. I will admit, when he died, Mateo kinda got me. I shed a tear, for real. It was just unexpected. I totally forgot about that stove thing. Last note, they use a lot of MADs. Rufus uses a lot of MADs. And apparently this book was released in 2017. So I was saying a couple years ago. It's closer to a decade than 5 years. It's 8 years ago, somehow. I know it got popular because, or it got more popular because of TikTok a few years ago. I don't think it was in 2017. By the way, you should check out my TikTok every Sunday, give or take. So, yeah. And those are all the notes I have. I don't know. It was not bad. I was able to focus most of the time, but also not everything in the book was interesting. So I wasn't like digesting or focusing on the words all of the time. And it's a series. I may keep reading. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'm finally now gonna start a book that has been out for over a month now that I've wanted to read since it was released, called My Friends by Fredrik Backman. I'm reading it online and I'm gonna start doing that later today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, maybe in the next chapter. Unless we're dead before